Here we are again, talking about step into the water. It actually reminds me of an old Southern gospel song, but I won't sing it for you. I mean, because I'm not a good bass. The song requires a good bass. But what we're sharing through this series is how some ways to look at baptism, some things to practically understand why God wants us to go through baptism. And today we're talking about the ways that baptism, in a sense, produces a healing for us. You know, I don't know if you're under the impression that following Jesus is all butterflies and daisies, but if you think that, it's not. I'm sorry if you got that impression. That was never intended. Following Jesus includes some of the same challenges that everyone, even people who don't follow Jesus, experience. But what it does do, following Jesus does, is it gives us access to greater resources, greater supply. You see, there's a lot of promises in the Word, like that when you're weak, you're actually strong. Well, how are you going to find that out if you don't ever experience weakness? If you need how would you ever experience a miracle in your life if you don't have a really big problem? Do you see what I mean? And so there are things in life that we need to understand. There are challenges we're going to face, and your faith is going to hit some tests. And when you leave your Egypt, there's a wilderness to walk through. And so today we're going to look at the first place that Israel hit their first bump in the road, I guess, after the Red Sea. Of course, they had bumps in the road the whole while. But right after the Red Sea, they went to the waters of Marah, and the waters were bitter, and they could not drink them. The Bible says in Exodus 15:22, Moses led the people of Israel away from the Red Sea, and they moved out into the desert of Shur. They traveled into the desert for 3 days without finding any water, and when they came to the oasis of Marah, the water was too bitter to drink, so they called the place Marah, which means bitter. Wow. Can you imagine 1.5 million people, no water for 3 days, the kids saying, "Are we there yet? Can I have a Pepsi?" I mean, just the frustration. You know, before we judge Israel as unworthy of God's goodness, we need to realize how much like them we are. What would our frame of mind be 3 days with no water in the desert? So just a little perspective there. So what does this have to do with baptism? Well, I would call the waters at Marah like a second baptism for the nation of Israel, a healing one that set them free. We talked last week about how it set people free. Baptism sets people free from their bondage and their slave thinking. Well, this is about how that baptism helps us get free of our pain, and it heals us. You see, pain has a way of coming back around. We always end up revisiting our bitterness, and that's what happened to the nation of Israel. The ancient scholars, Jewish scholars, knew that the waters of Marah were meant to exemplify the bitterness of the Hebrew slavery, as recorded in Exodus chapter 1 and verse 14. And so they knew that the people were revisiting these waters to heal them from their bitterness. Now, what does that have to do with us? Well, Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 10:11, says, "These things happened to them as examples for us. They were written down to warn us who live at the end of the age. If you think you're standing strong, be careful not to fall." You see, yes, this is a true, accurate historical account of what happened to the nation of Israel, but everything about it is applicable to us, useful for us. It's wise for us to understand. And what I think we're learning here is that we have to deal with our past. It would be nice. Well, no, I don't think it'd be nice. I think it'd be unhealthy. I think it would just be burying pain. But I know what we want to do is we want to just run as hard as we can from the pain of our past. Well, that will not work. God intends for you and I to be healed. Jesus died on the cross. By his stripes we're healed. He died on the cross to set us free from our pain and our bitterness. So how do we let Jesus touch our past? Exodus 15:25 says, Moses cried out to the Lord for help, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. Moses threw it into the water, and this made the water good to drink. Isn't it interesting that there just happened to be a tree at this pool? Now you're like, well, yeah, there's water, desert, trees are going to grow there. Well, think about this a little bigger. Some translations say a log or a plank. Some translations say a tree. Kind of leads you to believe that the tree that was there had either fallen or maybe it hadn't even been planted or grown there. So think about this. God either grew a tree that he knew we were going to heal these waters long before the nation of Israel got there, or he grew a tree somewhere else. Someone felled it, brought it to this place. Maybe they used it for their campfire, and now there's this charred log on the ground, and that's what God's going to use. Either way, God's providence is on radical display. He was prepared for this day long before Israel knew they were going to need God's provision. God was waiting at the point of their past bitterness to heal their pain and their bitterness. Isn't that amazing? Don't you think that's exactly what God has for you? A way to heal you? We're so afraid to go back to our painful places, and yet God is waiting there. Why is it that we don't want to go back to those places of pain? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Such love has no fear, because perfect love expels all fear. If we are afraid, it's for fear of punishment. We are afraid that the suffering of our past is something we deserve. We're afraid that we're afraid we're in trouble with God over all these kinds of things. And whether or not we deserve to be in trouble with God is irrelevant, because Jesus took on all of that. Everything that's wrong with us, every failure, Jesus died it all. Nothing is untouched by the blood of Jesus. So we need to let Jesus touch that pain, and then we also need to choose a new path. Exodus 15:26, God says, if you will listen carefully, Moses says, if you'll listen carefully to the voice of the Lord your God and do what is right in his sight, obeying his commandments, keeping all his decrees, then I will not make you suffer any of the diseases I sent on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you. See, there's a new path for us, and that new path is a place of promise. The nation of Israel wasn't saved to wander the wilderness. They were saved to be victorious. They were saved to bring Jesus into the world. They were saved to give the world Jesus, that promise. And my friend, that's exactly why you and I have been saved. Peter writes in 2 Peter 1, because of his glory and excellence, God has given us great and precious promises. These are the promises that enable you to share in his divine nature and escape the world's corruption caused by human desires. God, you and I are meant to live a life of promise, a life fulfilling God's purpose, a life of bringing Jesus into the world. God has promised you some stuff. He's placed you in this place of his acceptance, in this place of victory, and he intends for you to bring Jesus into this world. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, 1 John 5:3 says, loving God means keeping his commandments. His commandments are not burdensome. For every child of God defeats this evil world, and we achieve this victory through our faith. Well, God intends for you to be victorious. The Red Sea freed the nation of Israel from their bondage. The waters of Marah helped them let go of their pain, let God heal the pain. How do you heal the pain? A tree. Cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree is what we learn in the New Testament from the hand of Paul. And so that tree is a symbol of Christ taking on our pain and our suffering. And so God has taken all this on, and he has prepared for us a place of victory instead of our place of failure. He's given us a place of victory. So I don't know what your pain is, but I want to ask you, if you're ready to be done with it, baptism is one tool to help you remember that Jesus has taken all your pain, that by his stripes you are healed, that all the bitterness, all the abuses you've endured, the mistakes you've made, even the sins you've committed, are not unreached by the blood of Jesus. Jesus has died for all of that. And so that's what I want baptism to be for you. More than just a ritual, I want it to be a healing of your soul, because that's what it's intended to be. A healing of your past and a healing of your pain. I hope this sets you free today. I hope it brings you peace. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.